Hello, I'm Campbell and welcome to WinedUp. This show is one of our wine hack editions, and on today's programme we'll be looking at our top 3 tips to get more out of wine without spending very much money on wine. The first is laid out in front of me here, which is invest in better glassware. Glasses are obviously the vehicle through which we consume this stuff, and it's a really underrated area of actual wine pleasure and wine enjoyment. What you're looking for in a wine glass is it's called a tulip shape, as you can see by sort of these 2 glasses here, in that you can tell by the shape of it if you've got a nice bowl for the wine to swirl around and get some air, and then those senses, those aromas go quite literally straight up your nose, and that shape encourages that direction of travel. Whereas anything when you're talking about cut crystal or the exact opposite sort of shape, you know, that's not what you're looking for. This is what you're looking for. Any of these little bowls, they just really are suboptimal, and sometimes you're just paying for fripperies that you don't need. We'll put that to test in a future video, but I promise you that having the right kind of glass makes a huge difference. And think seriously about investing in something to decant your wine into. It doesn't have to be one of these, you know, a purpose-built, expensive Riedel decanter. This is a carafe from IKEA that costs a few quid, but it really does make a big difference in helping that wine to open up, helping you to get more out of the wine by the time it goes into the glass. The second hint is to spend a little bit more on the wine that you drink. It doesn't have to be a huge amount. You know, the average spend on a bottle of wine in the UK is a little bit under £5 a bottle. If you spend a little bit more, you get an awful lot more wine for your money. We'll do a full episode on this another time, but if you're thinking about a bottle of wine that's in that sort of £4 or £5 range, by the time you've paid fixed rate things like import duty, the cost of the bottle, the cost of bottling, the cost of importing, and the retailer making a margin, the guy who makes the wine's probably only got 50 pence left over. Whereas if you get up to maybe more like £6 or £7, then suddenly you've got 4 times more money actually going into the wine. So you get a really, really quite dramatic increase for only a couple of quid between sort of £5 and £7. You go up into the sort of £8 to £10 range, and you're getting maybe 6 times more of your money is actually going into the glass that you drink. The winemaker can produce much better results for only a little bit more money. So think seriously about maybe drinking a little bit less, or don't go to the pub, buy a better bottle, stay in with some friends and enjoy it that way, because you really will find that pretty quickly you get an awful lot more bang for your buck. Whereas once you get much past, I don't know, £15 a bottle, you start to get the law of diminishing returns kicking in, but at nowhere do you ever get a more dramatic increase in quality than if you just stick a couple of quid extra on top of the bottle of wine that you're drinking. The third and final tip for now is serve your wine at the right temperature. I really can't stress this one enough. As a broad brush rule, we always serve our white wines far too cold and our red wines far too hot. With white wines, you're probably accustomed to drinking it at near freezing kind of temperatures. It's come out of a very cold fridge, it's been in an ice bucket, or heaven forbid, you've actually put ice in to your glass. Do not do that. And it's refreshing, but you're not really getting too much of the wine out of it. If you chill wine like that, you really kind of flatten the flavour, the cold takes it all away, and you're kind of muting a lot of those aromas that's integral to the overall enjoyment. Whereas if you serve white wine at more like 6 to 10, which is a lot warmer than you're perhaps used to, but still cool and refreshing, then you get an awful lot more enjoyment out of your wine. Conversely with red, and this is an even more profound problem, it's always too hot. Don't believe the adage of serving red wine at room temperature. You can only serve red wine at room temperature if you're living in the 18th century. You know, room temperatures these days with modern central heating and well-insulated houses is probably at least 22 degrees. If you've been cooking during the day, perhaps for a dinner party, you've got a whole bunch of friends round, that temperature can easily get to 24 plus degrees. So you're actually drinking wine that's 6 to 8 degrees warmer than it really should be. And believe me, you can taste it. If you've ever had a bottle of wine that you think, you know, this should be a nice bottle, but it's ended up feeling a little bit bloated, a bit flabby. You know, the alcohol heat is very, very pronounced. You're not getting nice, fruity, refreshing flavors in your mouth. Chances are it's just too warm. Whereas if you take that down to somewhere between 14 and 18, absolute maximum 18 degrees, never serve any wine above 18 degrees, you know, it should be cool to the touch, you will notice a huge difference. I cannot tell you the number of occasions where I know people who have done the first couple of things we've suggested. You know, they've got some proper wine glasses, they've taken the time to decant the wine, they've spent a good few quid, but their house is like a furnace, it's 24, 26 degrees, and the wine just doesn't taste good. You know, you're letting the side down if you don't serve the wine at the right temperature, and there's probably no single thing that will help you get more pleasure out of your wine than getting that thing right. So that concludes our top 3 tips for how to get more out of wine. We'll be breaking these down into bite-sized chunks and looking into each area in a little bit more detail. We'll actually be tasting the stuff, putting it to test, and showing you some other tips and hacks and tools that you can use to put them into action. Thank you for listening. Let us know what you think in the comments below, and we'll talk to you soon. And don't forget, don't get wound up, get wined up.